actions have consequences. I like this one a lot. I thought it was dive into. Actions have consequences. The contemporary fallacy of a person in power falsely describing an imposed punishment or penalty as a, quote, consequence of another's negative act. Example, quote, the consequences of your misbehavior could include suspension or expulsion. A corrupt argument from ethos, or arrogating to oneself or to one's rules or laws and an ethos of cosmic inevitability, i.e., example, the ethos of God, fate, karma, destiny, or reality itself. Illness or food poisoning are likely, quote, consequences of eating spoiled food, while being, quote, grounded is a punishment for, not a, quote, consequence of childhood misbehavior. Freezing to death is a natural, quote, consequence of going out naked in sub-zero weather, but going to prison is a punishment for bank robbery, not a natural, inevitable, or unavoidable, quote, consequence of robbing a bank. Not to be confused with argument from consequences, which is quite different. See also blaming the victim. An opposite fallacy is that of moral licensing.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, you had a lot to say on this last time.
Yeah, actions of consequence. To me, it was like, again, it was the conflict between definitions, I think, and for whatever reason, when I read this the first time, I didn't make the strong connection between, or the strong distinction between consequences and punishment. But it was through our discussion where I think you just painted clearly. It was just a quick, like, we had discussion, and through that discussion, you painted clearly the difference between consequence and punishment. I was like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense, because we, as society, we assign certain punishments, and I can totally remember, like, as a kid, especially, like when I was young, adults saying that, actions have consequences. If you do this, then this will happen. And I remember, even as a kid, being like absolutely terrified of taking certain action, just because I didn't know what those consequences were. But I remember adults in my life telling me that those things were going to happen. Like, I literally remember one time my mom told me, I can't remember how old we were. She told me that like the police are always watching. Like, she told her that literally like they're always paying attention to what we're doing at all times. Like, they're always watching. And I literally thought at one point, I thought we had like literal cops like hanging outside our house, just like watching what we did. And so there was this part of me.
Well, there's some countries where that's how it is, actually.
Yeah, totally. But like in my little, and you knew where we grew up, so it was like in the middle of nowhere suburbia in Illinois. Like, there is no surveillance like that exists up there anyway. So it's like, it just wasn't a thing, especially back at that time. I think it was 2005 or whatever it was.
Imagine the taxes that it would cost to have a police officer for every individual human being. You would have to pay in taxes. Everyone would pay a full ass wage for us to afford that.
But totally, it was definitely, and I don't think, again, my mom is a wonderful woman. So I don't think she intended to do anything like this. But I remember the experience of it as a child. I was like, oh man, like if I run too loudly on the second floor and disturb the person beneath who's living, my great aunt was living with us for a period of time. It's like, oh, if I run too loudly on the second floor and cause a disturbance on the lower floor, then I will be punished by the cops. Like, that's like that was literally like a thought process that came up as a kid. So I totally resonated with
how the punishment, not a consequence.
Right, because we talked about, I think this one was the first really good example. We talked about equivocation, about like how you can take one word and change the meaning of it to mean something else, and all of a sudden, which that action is called.
And sometimes the meaning can be very close in definition, but not quite. Yeah. But the slight difference can mean all the difference.
Totally. Yep.
You know what? I went to church about a month ago, and it was like an LGBT friendly church, and it was really fascinating. They were really cool. They're very reasonable. Um, and I went to service, and after the service, I asked the pastor what his definition of faith was because I didn't want to equivocate. And he said it was trust. I'm like, okay, are they synonyms or are they close in definition? Because I don't want to equivocate. I didn't use that word, but I wanted to, make sure he wasn't using it. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, well, nothing's absolute about faith. Like, okay, so they are not synonyms. You're like, right, they are not synonyms. Okay, but they're very close. Like, right, like, okay, what are characteristics that faith has that trust does not? And he's like, oh, I misstumped him.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I would love to have this conversation later, but I wanna meet some other people. I'm like, bro, this is my one question. You answer this one, I'm gone. He's like, okay, let me think about this. So something that faith has that trust does not. He's like, okay, so faith. He said faith is a leap. Faith is it's belief in things that cannot be known or seen, and that was his answer. I'm like, fascinating. Okay, so and I want to get it from his mouth specifically because I don't want to mischaracterize someone else's religion. I want to make sure like whatever they say is what they actually believe. So if we're not equivocating faith, yeah, a lot of people will use faith to mean trust, but also this other thing that trust does not have, and it's just like believing just because. And I think that's fascinating. Anyways, that's a different fallacy.
Are you open if I just quickly share how I think about it?
Sure, yeah. This is
very
for everyone who's listening. This is no longer the same fallacy. We're we're talking about equivocation, but I'm sure we'll be talking about equivocation a lot during this. So I think this is fine. So yeah, go ahead and share.
It's a simple thing to me. It's like because as you're asking that question and describing that story, I was like, oh man, how would I work? How would I think about it? And to me, I think about faith in terms of just even in the words that we saw so far on this list. I think of faith from the logos perspective and trust from the ethos perspective. That's how I look at it. Like if I were looking at a core difference between the two, it's like
we just said trust.
Oh, did I say trust? I meant faith.
Yes, you said faith is something from logos and then trust from ethos.
Right. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're using trust from ethos.
Correct. So it's like for me, when you were asking the difference between the two, for me, from my own personal perspective, when I look at and think about the two of them, faith comes from it's like a logos perspective of it's faith in something. It's like I don't necessarily see faith as I don't have faith in humans as an example. I have faith in the grander spectrum of humanity and that things will go positively. However, I do have trust or a lack of trust in humans as an example. So that to me is is how I look at it between the two.
Oh, and then we did define that trust. You need reason for trust. You need evidence to support. Like when somebody says, "I have faith in my wife," is not the same as faith in God. Like it is equivocation again. You're saying I trust my wife to be there for me because I have all these reasons because I've been on dates with her. Like it's consistent beyond a reasonable doubt that she loves me, and I have no reason to think otherwise. Love that. So it is a trust, but I think because faith has a very poetic nature to it, a lot of people like to equivocate faith with trust, and I just try to not equivocate as much as possible, just so I know what we're talking about. Because when you equivocate, I think for poetic reasons, it's fine to equivocate. As long as it's now acknowledges like a metaphor, I think it's fine. But when the line is blurred so much to where people can no longer distinguish the difference, then this is where fallacious reasoning occurs, and then bad things can follow, and then it's not productive for society anymore.
Yeah, that was a super good analogy. I really like that a lot. That was good.
Sweet. Which analogy?
The analogy about I have faith that my wife will apply these. I have faith in my wife will trust my wife. Like that.
Right. It's technically trust because there's you have a reason to believe that she's there for you. Right.
Yeah, totally. I like that a lot.